Hello Pre-Calc students, this is your Unit 1 review. If you haven't started your review yet, you should try all of the problems and then correct your work using the key that's posted on Blackboard. And then if you're still confused, come back to these videos. So on this page we are going to build our unit circle. Our unit circle is built from our 30, 60, 90 triangle and our 45, 45, 90 triangle. And it starts right over here on the positive x-axis at 0 degrees. So let's put in 0 degrees right here. And after that, our next angle is 30 degrees, 45 degrees, 60 degrees, and finally 90 degrees. And these angles are not by accident, it's because these are the angles that we have in your 30, 60, 90 and in your 45, 45, 90 triangle. Now the other angles can kind of be figured out along the way since we know these. Now I have 0, I have 90, if I go another 90 I'm going to have 180 degrees. And if I go another 90 I'm going to have 270 degrees. All of these blue angles are all 30 degrees away from the x-axis. So right here I have an angle that's 30 degrees less than 180, so that would be 150 degrees. 30 degrees more than 180, 210 degrees. And if I start at 0 and I go all the way around, it's almost a full 360 degrees to the blue line. It's 30 less than 360, so that one would be 330 degrees. Now if I look at the black lines are all 45 degrees away from the x-axis. So over here in the second quadrant I have 45 less than 180, 135, 45 more than 180, 225, and 45 less than 360, 315 degrees. And then all of the red angles are in the 60 degree family. So 60 degrees here, 60 less than 180 is 120 degrees. 60 degrees more than 180 is 240 degrees. And 60 degrees less than 360 is 300 degrees. So next we need to figure out our angles and radians. I'm going to change color for a minute. Alright, so you can always change a degree measure to a radian measure by multiplying by the ratio degrees times pi over 180, and that should give you the radians. But you don't want to have to do that all the way around, so there are some simple things you can remember. 30 degrees times pi over 180 simplifies to pi over 6. And all of the 30 degree family angles, those are also in the pi over 6 family. So that over here, we all know 180 is the same as pi radians. So if I want pi over 6 less than pi, that's 5 pi over 6. And if I want a full pi plus pi over 6, that should be 7 pi over 6. And then over here, I have 2 pi. It's both 0 radians and 2 pi radians. So if I want pi over 6 less than 2 pi is the same as 12 pi over 6. So if I subtract pi over 6 from 12 pi over 6, I'm going to get 11 pi over 6. Alright, the next family is the pi over 4 family. Remember, this here is pi at 180. This is pi over 2, because that's half of 180. And if you cut that in half again, you get pi over 4. So in the second quadrant, I need pi minus pi over 4. That gives me 3 pi over 4. And here's a full pi plus pi over 4. That would be 4 pi over 4 plus pi over 4. I get 5 pi over 4. Alright, and now I'm realizing that I put my 3 pi over 4 on the wrong angle, so I'm going to see if I can pick that up and slide it over. There we go. Okay, so the black lines are the ones that are in the pi over 4 family, so I have one more over here, it's 7 pi over 4. Alright, and then the red lines are in the pi over 3 family. 60 times pi over 180 simplifies to pi over 3. And then in our pi over 3 family, the next one will be 2 pi over 3. 3 pi over 3 is the same as pi. Then down here we get 4 pi over 3. And finally 5 pi over 3. And of course 6 pi over 3 is the same as 2 pi, so that's back here. So we have our angles in degrees and in radians, and now we need to work on the coordinates. It's called the unit circle because the radius of the circle is 1, so the quadrantal angles are the easiest ones to do. They're all 1 away from the origin. So the point that's over here is x of 1 and y of 0. The point that's up here, the x is 0 and the y is 1. All the way back here, our x is negative 1 because we went left, and the y is 0. And then down here, our x is 0 and our y is negative 1. The rest of the coordinates come from the special right triangles. So our 30, 60, 90, it used to have sides of 1, 2, and root 3. But we know that this hypotenuse has to be 1 in the triangle because that's the radius of our circle. So to make the hypotenuse 1, we divide by 2. 2 over 2 is 1. You want to divide this by 2 and divide this by 2. So now the sides are 1, 1/2, and root 3 over 2. So if I had a 30, 60, 90 triangle right here, the x-coordinate would be the long part, the root 3 over 2. And the y-coordinate would be the short part, the 1/2. Okay, and these coordinates are reflected on all of the angles that are in the 30-degree family. So that over here, I'm going back root 3 over 2 and up 1/2. So it's negative root 3 over 2, positive 1/2. Down here, I go back root 3 over 2, down 1/2. So negative root 3 over 2, negative 1/2. And then over here, I'm going right root 3 over 2 and down 1/2. So positive root 3 over 2 and negative 1/2. Okay, in the 45-degree family, nope, let's skip to the 60-degree family. The 60-degree family uses the same triangle, but now watch what happens. My x-coordinate is the short side and my y-coordinate is the long side. So the short side is the 1/2. And then the long side is the root 3 over 2. So it's the same triangle, but the x and y's are just switched. 120 degrees, first my x is negative 1/2, and then my y is positive root 3 over 2. Alright, for 240 degrees, my x is negative and my y is negative. So negative 1/2, negative root 3 over 2. And then for 300 degrees, my x is positive and my y is negative. So 1/2, negative root 3 over 2. Alright, then we can do our 45-degree family. The 45-degree family used to be our triangle, had a hypotenuse of square root of 2 and the sides were 1. And what you end up doing is dividing by root 2 so that you can make that hypotenuse equal 1, because in the unit circle the radius has to be 1. When you divide by root 2, your new triangle has 1 on the hypotenuse, and the simplified radicals are root 2 over 2 on each side. So the x-coordinate and the y-coordinate, they're both root 2 over 2. X root 2 over 2, y root 2 over 2. Okay, and your x goes back, so that's a negative x, negative root 2 over 2, and a positive root 2 over 2. In the third quadrant, your x is negative and your y is negative. And in the fourth quadrant, your x is positive because it goes right, and your y is negative because it goes down. Okay, so we have built your unit circle. Remember, all of these numbers follow patterns, so they're pretty easy to follow. As far as your fractions go for radians, you just need to know pi over 6 is smaller than pi over 4, and pi over 4 is smaller than pi over 3. So notice what happens with your denominators. Your numbers are getting bigger as your denominators get smaller. 6, 4, 3, 2. Okay, and then if it's in the pi over 3 family, 2 pi over 3, 4 pi over 3, 5 pi over 3, all of those in the same family are going to be over 3. That's another pattern to watch for. Then, if you can build your first quadrant up as far as the x and the y go, then you can just reflect that across the y-axis, and all you have to change is the sign. So 1/2 changed to -1/2, but root 3 over 2 stayed positive because we're still above the x-axis. When you then reflect that across the x-axis, it's the y that becomes negative and the x stays negative as well. So notice that 1/2 root 3 over 2, you can keep reflecting that across the axes and you always get the same point, just with different positives and negatives. So try to study the patterns so that it becomes more natural, more easy to write all of this quickly, and time yourself, see how fast you can do it.